What is up, Jiu Jitsu fanatics? Welcome back to another episode of Cosmo Jitsu. On this episode, I want to talk about competing inside Jiu Jitsu. Things I do leading up to the competition to prepare, and actually how I operate inside the competition. But before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And if anything I say sounds useful to you, anything you can use to apply it to your game, make sure you go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. So, competing in Jiu Jitsu. The first thing I would have to say about that is make sure you got a couple extra gis, a couple extra rash guards. Make sure if you got a few gis and you pack in your bag, put all of it in your bag. Bring everything you got. You never know. Some tournaments, they measure your gi. It'll be too short. If it's up here, they might not let you compete. Some competitions you can get away with. Pack your bag, man. Make sure you got a mouthpiece. I feel like I compete a lot better when I got a mouthpiece in. Like, in some tournaments I didn't win, and I felt like, damn, if I had my mouthpiece, I'd have been all right. Now, why I say that is because, of course, you know, with a mouthpiece, you want to protect your teeth. You know, I gotta keep them pearly whites in there. But I've been kneading the mouth multiple times, you know, just going hard for them spazzy people. This was more at the white belt level when I took a couple knees to the mouth or the nose or something like that. Just somebody being a spaz, right? Don't be a spaz. But yeah, with the mouthpiece, I feel like I have a lot more grit. I can bite down, you know, and go that much harder when needed, you know. Or if somebody just so happened to get my back, you know, I can tuck my chin and bite down on my mouthpiece to help stopping him from getting his choke off. And me, you know, some people crank your face, and if you got that mouthpiece in there, you'll be surprised how much it helps. Try it out. I'm telling you, it works. But you'll recognize you got just that much more grit. Another thing, jiu-jitsu competitions. Now me, I'm gonna skip around in this. Like I said before, I don't plan this stuff out. I might think about this in the topic, and I'm just gonna go in here and go on a rant, you know, because when I watch other people's videos, I like when they go on their rants and just get to talking, with just no direction. I love to hear these jiu-jitsu talks, which is why I started this channel, because I feel like more of us need to be speaking about what's going on in our world, right? So, me, I only compete in like Fuji, AGF, submission challenges. I might be, other people might feel otherwise, but I don't really feel like I'm IBJJF, Pans, or Worlds material, you know? Some of them tournaments you'll have 10 matches, and you know, you lose one, you don't even place. You don't even get to step up on the podium. I like to reign in the Fuji AGF era. That's my lane right there, you know. I don't see myself as a world champion yet. Oh, I mean, yeah, I would like to be, but I think I want some more experience up under my belt before I start trying to go compete in Pans or Worlds, IBJJF. Those are some pretty big tournaments. But like I say, Fuji, AGF, you catch me there, you got problems. I done won a couple state championships. I done won a state championship at blue belt. I won a couple different state championships at white belt. I mean, I won here. I went to Illinois. I won theirs. I like going to other cities in Missouri to compete in their tournaments. Y'all have to excuse my voice. I've been kind of harsh, man, rough. I was just screaming. A couple of my guys was fighting on Nemesis fight card, MMA, kickboxing, all of that, and I was rooting for my guys, man. We did pretty good. I'm proud of it. But AGF, Fuji, all of that. I like AGF, Fuji because you get to weigh in the day before. You know, you don't have to weigh in your gi. IBJJF, I got one coming Saturday. Coach made me do it. But IBJJF, you got to weigh in your gi. So like right now, I'm actively getting my weight down and cutting some of this water up off me. I don't have a big weight cut at all. It's just more complicated with my schedule because I run a business. So I'll get into another video. I'll get into that about running a business and trying to maintain your competition schedule or your training schedule, your regular training schedule, and things I do to help me stay in shape, help me not to let my weight go, which I actually did over these last 2 weeks. I let my weight go, so I got to get back down. Some people say, you know, you got the whole stigma. I had the whole stigma of when I first started competing of people using steroids. Fuji AGF submission challenge, you don't have to worry about that. Ain't nobody jacked up on roids coming in those tournaments. I mean, you might find, you know, one needle in a haystack or whatever. But, I mean, I ran across one person that I think might have been on it. But even then, it don't give you no extra skill. Like, yeah, you stronger, but if I got you on a skill level, it ain't nothing you can do with me because I ain't weak at all. You know, I can get around a little bit of extra strength. But this guy was super strong, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. He grabbed my lapel, snapped me down. My face went straight to the mat. Boom! He was strong as hell. I had to regroup and figure out, like, okay, I got to come up with a different game plan. This little dude strong as a ox, like, yo. But you don't got to worry about steroids and that's when you get to the Worlds and the Pans and your Gordon Ryans and all of them people. Ain't nobody really doing that down here where I be getting down at. Competition, as far as how I operate, now before we get to how I operate inside the competition, before the competition, you know, you want to make sure you've been training consistently. You know, the week of the competition, you want to do a lot of more technical stuff and game planning. Like we do competition classes. We got comp classes. When we got tournaments coming up, I really like those comp classes because coaches just pretty much just let us go at it. All right, go on in here, get after it. And they gonna yell at you if you laying down, and you know, after the round end, get up, get back up on your feet, find your next partner, let's go. Don't act like it's hard. That's one thing my coach said to me as I was dying one time in a practice. Don't act like it's hard. Go on, just do it. Don't act like it's hard. So you gotta fix your face, stand up, catch your breath, control your breathing. Breathing is very essential in these competitions, man. You got to learn how to breathe before you get there. You got to learn how to breathe before you get there. If not, you'll be gassed out. Even if you win your first match, you'll be gassed out and won't have enough gas to win the last match that you have after that. Maybe you going up for first and second or third and fourth. You know, you got to learn how to maintain, because sometimes, man, you'll get off that mat and a match will go and the guy might get a quick submission, and you got to go right back in there. You know, so you got to learn how to breathe, you know, got to have your good cardio. Sprints are everything. Fan bike, getting on that fan bike, doing that. This is leading up to the competition. You want to be on that fan bike. Cutting weight. I don't recommend cutting weight for a competition. I could see if you like anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds over the weight class that you want to compete at. In jiu-jitsu, I don't recommend cutting weight. I do it, but I don't recommend it. It sucks. Like, I got a week, I may be like 6-7 pounds over my weight class. A lot of it's water, just for me, just overhydrating, which is a good thing. You want to make sure you overhydrate it. And this is for, like, there's people that got way more complex systems of, you know, training for a competition, man. This is just from my perspective, what I do and what works for me. And sometimes it don't work. Like, oh man, I got a story. So my very first competition, I wasn't nervous at all. Man. So I signed up for the competition. I thought I knew which weight class I selected. But the weight class that I ended up in, like the morning of, when I seen the brackets come out, was a weight class where I was 5 pounds heavier than. So I'm like, oh shoot, I'm calling the number on the thing, trying to get them to change the weight class. I can't contact nobody. The bracket's already out. And so I basically get the gist of, hey, you have to compete in the weight class that is on the bracket, or you will be disqualified. I'm like, oh shoot. So I take off running with the trash bags, which I don't recommend. It sucks. I soak in the bathtub. I cut down. I get to the tournament and I go to weigh in and I'm still 2 pounds over. Now they gonna give me the time to cut the weight, but I'm talking to the director like, hey man, can you just bump me up to the next weight class, please? He's like, well, you put on there you used to wrestle, right? I was like, yeah. Well, he's like, you used to cutting weight, this and that. I'm like, bro, I'm like 30 at this point. I wrestled in high school, man, when I was 16, 17. Like, yo, cuz. So he makes me cut the weight. I take off running up and down 2nd Street, cutting the rest of these pounds off, right? So I come back and I end up cutting an extra pound. I cut a whole pound more than I needed to. So I was like 2 pounds under the limit for the weight class, right? Now, it's so funny because I seen my coach, Mike Rogers, after he seen what I was doing and I was ready, he's like, hey, make sure you rehydrate. I'm serious. I ain't never had rehydrate. Yeah, I drink a thing of water, Gatorade, I'm good. No, man, I wasn't ready. So for my very first match, I go to step on the edge of the mat, right? And as I walk onto the mat, my calves are locking up. My body's dehydrated. I ain't got no salt. My calves are locking up, right? Now, my first tournament, I invited my mama there. I invited a couple friends there. My girl was there. She always there, but she was there. She saw this. Man, I went out there and got annihilated, right? And I know I could have performed better if I'd have just had proper hydration and didn't just do a stupid 5-pound weight cut 2 hours before the tournament. So I'm dehydrated. I go out there. I just get man, they mopped the floor with me, man. These dreads, they used it like a mop. They just mopped the floor with me, man. It was bad. Like, people were scoring like 15 points, 12 points, 10 points, 20 points. I had like 5-6 matches, man. I lost every one of those matches. And I was just like, man, it can't be this hard. Like, even my last match, man, this dude, he made me scream in front of my mama. You ever had a man make you scream in front of your mama? Bro, it was it was very, very degrading. But me, I ain't no quitter, And I was like, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back, go back to the drawing board. Make sure next time I'm not cutting no stupid weight the day before the competition. Or no, hours before the competition, excuse me. Yeah, that was rough, I went back to the drawing board. And that actually like imprinted on how I view jiu-jitsu, because even wrestling tournaments, all this stuff, I never got nervous, right? But after my first jiu-jitsu tournament, though I was depleted, my system was taxed, I knew I could have performed better. But it imprinted on me to where it was like I had this nervousness for about the next 3 to 4 competitions after that. I can't tell y'all how nervous I was. It's bad. Like, I literally would have the bubble guts and I be shitting, sometimes puking. Excuse my language. I gotta keep going back and forth to the toilet. Stomach's off. I'm feeling like I'm finna throw up just because of nervousness and anxiety, and I didn't want to scream. I stopped inviting my family to tournaments after my first tournament because I screamed in front of my mama. I don't want nobody to see me get done like that. Like, especially I probably was talking, oh, I'm gonna rip somebody's head off. Oh, So, you gotta gauge this, man, and come in expecting to win, but you also gotta understand, man, it's people out there that train harder than you, or might not have taxed their system as much as you did just to make this weight class. So keep that in mind. But man, after that, I would literally have to take Imodium to keep my stool hardened up, to keep from having Hershey squirts before my tournament, because you don't want a Hershey squirt in that gi. That's so embarrassing, right? This is crazy. I'm being honest with y'all. I had to take Imodium, and I have to take Dramamine for the butterflies in my stomach. Now that continued on for like 3-4 tournaments, man. But it's not like, you know, all the fighters, I talk to a lot of fighters in my gym, ones I train with, you know, they was like, man, it ain't like you about to go out there and get punched in the face. And in my mind, with this nervousness and anxiety, I'm telling myself, why is my body reacting like this? I'm ready to go. I know what I'm capable of. I mean, I roll with the fighters all the time. Like, I make sure if it's a fighter in the room, I make sure I roll with them because they got a certain grit, right? So I'm like, man, why is, you know, and I just never stop competing. Now, mainly I compete because I go to a competition school. You want to level up, you got to get out there and compete. Not even win, you know. You just have to be in the competition and represent your team. You got to show what you learn, right? And being in competition will make your jiu-jitsu that much better. I said before, it's like a month or two of training in one day, you know, all that you learn about yourself and your game. That's pretty much why I compete. Yeah, I like to get medals. Yeah, shoot, I like to stand up on the podium and get my hand raised. Yeah, I snap pictures. Yeah, I post my footage. Yeah, you gonna see all of that because I'm proud of that. But sometimes, hey, I just don't want to compete. I know after I get to a certain level, I'm probably always gonna compete. You know, I'm probably always gonna compete. But after I get to a certain level, it'll probably slow down as much, and I'll probably just do more of the big tournaments. You know, the more advanced I get, you probably see me in some of those bigger tournaments, right? So as far as game planning, right, this is something that I came up with. Maybe whatever, nobody taught me this. This is just something how I just learned how to operate, right? You got these set of skills that you're working with, right? A game and B game, right? My A game is what works for me, what always works for me inside the gym that I can translate to the competition, because in that competition you don't want to be out there trying nothing that you haven't done and successfully over and over and over in the gym, right? So me, when I go to competition, I got my A game, right? My B game comes into play when my A game fails, right? So when I go to practice, you know, when I go to open mat, I'm not really using my competition A game. Yeah, sometimes I go for my Kimura. A lot of times I go for my Kimura because that's my A game move. But I'm not a guard puller, like by any means. I'm not a guard puller at all. But when I'm training and getting ready for the competition, I pull guard. I'm a guard puller. This is my B game. This is me working what happens if my A game fails. I try to bring my B game up to the level of my A game, if that makes sense. So I try to make sure everybody, because I roll with even white belts, man. In our gym, white belts and up, if you've been there for any decent amount of time and white belt and up, man, we got some people that can fly past your guard. So me, I'm working on my guard retention. I'm working on my sweeps. You know, I'm working on what happens if I end up in a bad spot, so I can get back to where I'm able to use my A game. Y'all follow? So I put myself in those bad positions in open mat, in class. I'll put myself, they do drills where you start off in a bad position in comp class. And you got to work on retaining your guard and sweeping your opponent. That's very essential when you go to tournaments. Now, me, I don't want to ever have to use my B game in the tournament. I want my A game to just work for me. I want it to work every time. And as of lately, my A game has been working. I barely have to use my sweeps. I barely have to use my escapes because I'm working my A game. Now my A game, taking you down, passing your guard. Also, you gotta learn this point system thing, because I play the points, right? I don't stall out for the points. I've done it a time or two, but just because I was exhausted and all I got to do is win first place. And So I where was I going with this? So A game. Pass this guard, play the points, right? I'll take you down. That's 2 points. I'll pass your guard. That's how many ever points. I don't know exactly how many points you get for what, but I know how to get the points. You feel me? I'm still a fresh blue belt, right? So I play the points, take you down, get the points, pass your guard, get those points, and I hold. Now I'm looking for my submission. But now while I'm looking for my submission, I might do a knee on belly, get those points. Go to north-south, get those points. If I can get your back, it's probably going to be over. But if not, I got your back, I got those points. A lot of the matches that I win are usually 15 to nothing, 10 to nothing, 12 to nothing, because I'm working my A game, right? If I get in a bad position, I'm about to get swept, I'll do my best to get back up on my feet, take him down. Now I got more points. I already seen you can't stop my takedown, so I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not going to keep taking you down, let you up, because I'm hunting for a submission. But I want to take you down, run up my points, get my submissions. There's been times where I can admit that I ran up the points so high to where I said, shoot. It's 5-minute matches, right? Maybe 6 now with blue belt. I don't even look at the clock until the last minute or so. But after I run up 15 points, I might roll over and lock them in my guard and just work from my back, because ain't no way you about to get 15 points on me in a minute. If I already ran it up 15-0, ain't no way you gonna catch up to me on points, right? So I run up the points. I like to run up the points and then hunt for my submission. That's pretty much how I get it done. But more people that are more experienced, they might tell you, hey, you might want to hunt for that quick submission so that the rest of your matches will be easier, which makes sense. But I mean, I don't have an easy time submitting people. It's not hard to make a grown man submit. I mean, it's not easy to make a grown man submit. It's actually kind of hard and quite taxing. So I'm very tactical in my approach. I don't just go out there and just do whatever. Got to have a game plan. Got to have a game plan. But yeah, so B game. My B game comes in effect when I got somebody that can match my level, or somebody that might take me down. Oh my goodness. I hate when I run into a wrestler. Even though I'm a wrestler, I hate when I run into a wrestler on the mat, because he take me down. Now I got to work my B game. I got a lot of submissions inside of my B game. I don't say A game, B game, because my A game is better than my B game. My B game is just from those bad positions. How I react and respond from those bad positions, right? What else do I want to get into? Training escapes. You got to know how to respond in those bad positions. You have to know how to respond in those bad positions. You got to know how to escape this triangle, because every now and then you might get caught. You might get caught, and if you can't get out of this bad position, you lose the match. If the guy just mounts you, ain't no stalling, they ain't gonna call no stall for mount. You have to know how to escape the mount. That's more so where my B game. I say B game, but now that I think about it, it's more defense, training your defense, right? Gotta have a good defense going into there. Work your A game, but when it comes down to it, you gotta have those good defensive strategies, man. It's been times where I get caught, and I'll tell you, you might want to tap sometimes, man. Like, it's not worth it. These tournaments, you pay to get in them. You don't get paid to compete. The only reward you get is the satisfaction that you gain from it. It's what you get out of it. You want to make sure that you are safe. You want to leave with all your limbs intact, man. Like, I did the submission challenge, right? Now, I lost this match because it was no points. It's just submission only, right? But I was taking this dude down left and right, attempting submissions, right? So I caught an armbar on this guy. I caught an armbar. And it was a real tight armbar. It was nice. He stood up. I was upside down with it. As I'm squeezing this armbar and extending my hips all the way up into his elbow, I know I have his elbow hyperextended, but I'm thinking, What am I doing wrong? Why is he not tapping to this submission, right? We go to overtime. He escapes faster than me in overtime, right? So after the match, Kurt Huff comes up to me. He's like, hey, he's talking to me and a couple other guys. He's like, yo, that dude over there, his bicep rolled up into his shoulder. And I was like, I knew I did something. Like, I knew he should have tapped. It was like, why didn't he tap? I don't know why the heck he didn't tap. Now this guy who was a legitimate competitor. He's very good, you know. But I just had better wrestling and was able to use that to get into good positions. I don't know how long he gonna be out. You know, he probably still nursing that. That was a month and a half, 2 months ago. You know, that man bicep rolled up into his shoulder. Don't let that happen to you, man. Just tap. It's not that serious. You'll get another match. You'll get another tournament. You'll always come back to it. Got to be able to tap. Another thing I want to add, this is probably the last thing I'll say, is when you going for your submissions, me personally, some people, I care about people, man. I ain't trying to, I know we all got kids. I compete in Masters division. You 33, you 30 and up, you probably got children. You probably got a family. You have a job. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to get you in a position to where you tap. Now I say this because I think it sucks. You know, this is just my perspective, right? Other people might have a different perspective. I will get into a position and I will once I lock up this armbar, I know I have this armbar. So I'm not just going to yank back and crank it and not give you time to tap, right? This comes with experience, being able to give your opponent time to tap. I think that's admirable. That's honorable. You give your opponent time to tap, and instead of snapping their arm or snapping their ankle, give them some time, man. You don't. I hope your opponent taps. You know, I've had people in certain positions, and I ain't gonna lie, it's been some times where I kind of bailed out of a what was it? I bailed out of a Kimura to take his back to choke him because I feel like he wasn't gonna tap. Now sometimes I lock up the Kimura and I don't let go. I mean, I had an opponent with a Kimura where he was tapping, but the ref didn't see it. Right? I didn't let it go. But I stopped cranking it. But I held it in that position and I yelled at the ref, he's tapping. And he's like, all right, let it go. You know, but it's just having some honor and respect for your opponents, man. Some people don't have that. I do. I think it's honorable, and I think that's an attribute, a quality that a lot of jiu-jitsu competitors should have, man. I'm not trying to hurt you. Yeah, I ain't trying to hurt nobody, man. I'm just trying to get that dub. Hey, but that's pretty much all I got on this episode of Cosmo Jitsu, talking about competing in jiu-jitsu. But if y'all got anything y'all want to add, anything you want to say, make sure you comment and like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, tap or snap.